Endurance GT Racing has found a North American home in the racing capital of the world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where the Indianapolis 8-hour concludes the season for the Fanatec GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS Championship, and serves as the second round of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli. Qualifying already in the books here earlier this afternoon in Indianapolis, which has winnowed the field down to just 15 of the fastest GT3 cars on the planet, and they're about to battle it out in the Pole Shootout for the Indy 8-hour presented by AWS. Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Marine. Pleased to have Bob Varsha and Calvin Fish alongside in the booth, and Amanda Busick is down in the pit lane. We'll be hearing from her shortly. Exciting stuff in qualifying, Bob. 3 drivers, all of their drive times accumulating together to determine the fastest 15. Those 15 now in a single driver format, about to go to settle the final 15 starting positions and the pole.
That's right, and it's a clean sheet of paper. Fresh tires, your previous laps don't count. You just go out there and put in the hottest lap you can in order to get as high in the field as you can. And granted, yes, it's an 8-hour race, lots of time for positions to change, but every driver in the pit lane will tell you, you don't want to be in that red zone, mid-pack. When you go down into that tight right-hander at turn 1 here at Indy, your race could end on the very first lap.
Anyone who's watched a race on this Indy road course knows the peril that is turn 1, lap 1 at IMS. Calvin, this is a star-studded field of drivers, and the teams that run them are stars in their own right, and they then have to choose which of their 3 drivers to send out for Pole Shootout. Any interesting surprises amongst the stars that are on the list?
I really don't think so. I mean, if you look at how the laps were aggregated over that qualifying run, there were some hotter laps driven by drivers who are not going to see action in this Pole Shootout, but that really was coming down to strategy. What I love is the fact we have 5 different manufacturers represented in the top 6 from that qualifying run, so I think it's anyone's game out here. Mercedes came out on top in the aggregate, but Audi looked very strong once again. Capex Racing on the back of a North American Championship, they line up 3rd in terms of who was quickest a little bit earlier in the day, so they got a shot at it with their Lamborghinis. Ferrari hot off their victory at the Spa 24-hour race. They're going to be a threat as well, but good to see 5 of the North American teams represented in this top 15 shootout. And
you mentioned the Total Energies 24 Hours of Spa. That was the curtain opener for the Intercontinental GT Challenge powered by Pirelli. That led to the results you saw on screen a few moments ago, which has set the points coming into this second event here at Indianapolis. Capex Racing getting ready to go, and it is an interesting choice for this team. This is the full season champion team, Capex Racing in GT World Challenge America, but they don't go to one of their full season drivers. It's Mirko Bortolotti, who's been brought in specifically for this endurance event, that gets the call.
I think the key is there's no bad choice.
Right.
You got Jordan Pepper, you got Caldarelli, you got Bortolotti. I mean, all 3 of them are top drawers. So maybe a surprise. There may be a strategy to it all. Maybe they want to give Mirko a few more laps. Who knows? Didn't get a ton of dry running this weekend, so maybe it's just part of the bigger picture in preparation for the 8-hour.
Yeah, I'm totally confused by some of these driver choices. I mean, Jules Gounon will go off for the Craft Bamboo Mercedes. He was not the quickest man in that car in the first session, but his teammates freely admitted he has more experience of this Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course layout, so he gets the call.
And I think going 3rd, that was really like a banker lap. They were well locked into that top 15. Yeah, you'd want to come out on top of the heap, but I think he just went out there, laid down an average lap to ensure there weren't any issues and just get locked in.
And also of note, Bob, among these 15 cars, 3 different classes represented with Pro, as you would expect, but also Silver Cup and the Pro-Am cars showing the strength of their teams and drivers.
Yes, indeed, and that's proof of concept for the series. The cars are basically all the same, despite the classes, and it comes down to the drivers, to the team organization, the engineering, the setup, and the conditions. You need a big slice of luck.
And now it comes down to these final 15 minutes before the race itself. 1 driver per car, but all cars have access to the track simultaneously. That's different than some of the other endurance events we see throughout the course of the season. So finding that track position, that clean track, it's not as big of a deal as we see elsewhere. But that said, should still be something to keep an eye on. 15 cars, relatively small track at 2.59 miles. One of the talking points coming out of qualifying earlier, Calvin, was how much does this Pirelli tire have? When does it peak? It seemed like it was early, and as a consequence, we might see some drivers and teams elect to go out late.
Yeah, go out late. You're rolling the dice a little bit, but allow a bit more rubber to go down. Typically, that's going to grip up the racetrack, give you a bit more grip and a better lap time. There is the potential for teams to go out, lay down a lap, come back in, put a different set of tires on. All of those times to that point are then erased, so you're starting again. But you could get a read on the car for the driver. You can't really do any changes, but you can certainly get a read on the car for the driver, make a tire pressure adjustment potentially, and then go again.
Not much else that you're allowed to do if you should elect to come into the pit lane. Any changes of any significance result, as Calvin said, in losing any time set earlier in the session. That does include the tire change. Dakota Dickerson, first to go out on a flyer. This has been one of the up-and-coming stars of GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS. For the international audience that might be checking this out for the first time, haven't watched the American Championship this year, this is a kid that has a lot of people keeping a close eye on him. He's had an incredibly successful junior open-wheel career, was identified through that by Honda, brought him in to the HPD GT3 Academy 1 year ago, and in a limited schedule this year, he has been one of the faster drivers, not just in their Pro-Am class, but across the board.
3 weekends, 5 podium finishes, 3 weekends, 6 races, 5 podium finishes, and 2 wins amongst that. So he has really been a revelation this season.
Whatever they're teaching at that academy, I
want
want to know
some
what
of
it,
it.
absolutely.
We'll see 4 graduates of the Academy, 3 of which will be in this car. Dakota Dickerson, Jacob Abel, and Taylor Hagler all running together. And then Ashton Harrison, who I guess we can't call a graduate yet. She's still a part of that program this season, but she's part of Compass Racing's lineup. They did not make the top 15 in qualifying earlier, so we won't see them in this session. But the Acura NSX GT3, this was one of the better cars to have a year ago. These cars were the ones that gave the best fight to the Valkenhorst team.
They really did. They're very strong here at Indianapolis, certainly in those mixed conditions. Put on a great show at the beginning of the race. So here we see Dakota Dickerson. Is he going to do a 2-lap run here? 34.4, I believe it was, on the opening lap. So that's pretty good, about half a second shy of the fastest lap of the day. Here's Gunon. Personal best, Sector 1, as you'd expect on his first fly, but purple, fastest of all. That's what that indicates on the screen right there.
Went bounding over the curb. That's a fairly high curb there at the turn-in point for turn 12, and it looked like the inside wheels were up in the air. Here he comes out of turn 14. Jules Gunon for Kraft Bamboo Racing, the Hong Kong flag team, across the yard of bricks and to P1.
Not much in it, though.
Absolutely.
Only 300ths.
That Dickerson lap was the quickest by that team in all of qualifying today. Really well done. Now watch the bottom of your screen as we approach the end of this back straight. See that red flag snapping? That tells you the strength and direction of the wind, and it's at the driver's back, heading down there into turn 11.
Marvin Deist. Purple, Sector 1, Sector 2. This is a big lap he's putting together here for Winward Racing.
This is one that did catch me a bit off guard. I thought Philip Ellis, who's been driving DTM for this team this year, might get the nod, but it's the lesser-known German driver, Marvin Dienst, who puts up a big lap there, a 134 flat.
Gray color behind the car number tells you that's an AM class car. Marvin Dienst puts it up on provisional pole.
Silver Cup class car, I believe.
I'm sorry, Silver Cup, right.
For Winward Racing. We had a car stopped. I think that's the Crucial Motorsports McLaren. Paul Holton has not yet set a time. For now, we stay green.
So purple sector's going on right now. Dickerson has had a good run going. Also look a little bit deeper. Vantour's got a good run going as well, as does Niederhauser.
Good look up Holman Boulevard. Down at 11 again. Dries Vantour.
What a remarkable young driver this man has. Great resume already behind him at such an early age. Not purple in the first two, but he's got a solid lap he's putting together here.
Sprint Cup champion for the second year running in GT World Challenge Europe, Dries Vantour. through turn 13. Now the right-handed swing through turn number 14. What can the Audi do? A different one went to the top with Patrick Niederhauser a few moments ago. Where does Dries Vanthoor check in? He jumps to P1.
Fastest lap of the day, 33.817. That's quicker than we saw in the qualifying sessions earlier this afternoon.
Now it's Mattia Drudy with the overall first sector, overall best first sector so far. Personal best in the second. The Audi's starting to flex the muscle. Here comes Mattia Drudy. And he goes to P2.
It is go time, but we're still seeing some of the fancied runners sitting on pit lane still.
Dries Vanthoor's best lap. He's got a 10th in hand over Drudy. And then it's a very tight margin between Drudy, Niederhauser, and Dienst. Second, third, and fourth overall. Jan Halen, one of the Silver Cup entries for Wright Motorsports. And Jan Halen checks in 5th overall.
Marciello has just gone out on the racetrack, just starting his warm-up lap. Watch out for him.
Now,
On debut here at Indy.
Now Niederhauser, who for a time was at the top of the famed scoring pylon at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Great opening sector, dropped off some in the second. So it all comes down to this. He needs to find about a 10th if he's going to challenge for provisional pole.
Could be good enough for the front row. Let's wait and see how he finishes off the lap. Up and over the curb there in 14.
Patrick Niederhauser to the yard of bricks. This lap, it's good. Not good enough for P1, but he'll take P2.
Okay, halfway through this 15-minute session now. If you've already made your run and you're competitive, is there enough life in your tire to come out and respond?
Here's one of the favorites, Pierre Guidi. What a year he's put together coming off that sensational win at the Spa 24-hour race. Won at Le Mans once again in the pro category for GT cars.
And clinched the GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup Championship just 1 week ago. This car right now has not yet set a time, so this is really the first chance we'll have to truly gauge the pace of the Ferrari, and based on those sectors, it's got some speed.
Big time.
Yellow
really
number
solid
back.
sector 1 there, Bob. Purple sector 2.
Let's watch him finish the lap.
Look how clean he is. Super smooth. Big wide radius here. Doesn't get up on that curb. Doesn't unsettle the car. Confident in the car.
How big is this lap? Alessandro Pierre Guidi, provisional pole by 0.3 of a second.
Wow,
Take that.
33, 4, 5, 6.
Now the car behind, that's the team car, Antonio Fuoco driving. That car had set a time earlier. They came in and made changes. They wiped away those previous times. The 99 car, the Crap Bamboo car, also did the same thing. So a couple of teams dipping into the strategy well a little bit here, even in this short qualifying session.
Yellow numbers are the pro class cars. Gray are the Silver Cup.
And Thor, I don't think this one's a flyer.
But isn't going to cut it. It's a solid lap, but not enough.
But importantly, it was a good final sector, so maybe backed off a little in the first two. Now he's on it yet again. Marco Mappelli. What can K-Pax Racing do? Right now, the 3 and the 6 are buried in 11th and 12th, respectively. Mappelli, though, will jump forward with that one. Or will he?
No, that was not a great lap, 35.3.
Outside row 6.
Yeah, about 0.4 off his best, not a solid lap at all. Here comes Fuoco in the second of these AF Corsa Ferraris.
This might very well be a new set of tires. We know only that the team made a change that would require the previous lap times to be taken away.
It's a solid lap, maybe good enough for around P3, I think.
Antonio Fuoco in the Ferrari from AF Corsa. Can he challenge for pole? Can he challenge for the front row? Not quite. It's close, but P3. And now Gunan. This car also wiped away previous times with that decision. And look at these two first sectors. Purple sector
big.
1, yes.
Yep. This is why they picked him. He has the ability to maybe put this Mercedes on the top of the heap.
First year as a Mercedes factory driver, paired with a couple of veterans from the Mercedes factory stable, but they gave him the call, and he responds. Jules Gunan across the line. Where does he go?
That's strange. Didn't register.
There we
There
go.
it is.
Now he jumps to third.
The top three covered by 59 thousandths of a second.
And the difference between row 1 and row 2, second and third, is 1/1000th of a second. Just under 4 minutes remaining. Is that enough time if you wanted to try and throw a fresh set of tires at it? I don't know. You're about out of time to get that done now.
Yeah, you need to be leaving pit lane right now. Pierre Guidi goes around. That's not ideal. You get a bonus set of tires if you make the pole shootout. So you add to that 12 set allocation, that'll be your 13th set. But if you want to use them in the race, you got to give up one of those other sets for tomorrow. May want to give up that set if they're flat spotted.
Did he cost his teammate too much time?
Don't think so.
Fuoco there, a personal best. It doesn't change his fortunes, however. Still
How tight
fourth.
it is.
Yeah.
If he could find 400ths of a second, he'd be on the front row of the grid alongside his teammate.
What's a tenth of a second at 160 plus miles an hour?
Not a lot.
A couple of feet, maybe?
If that.
Remarkable effort by this Craft Bamboo Racing team. A lot of support from North American-based Lone Star Racing to help get them up to speed as they branch out internationally for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic, making things very difficult on Asian-based and Asian-focused race teams.
Credit to all of them who made the trip.
There we go, Mirko Bortolotti right now. Where is he? Down in 11th.
Yeah, they're just not seeing the pace in that Lamborghini here in qualifying trim at least. See what they can come up with tomorrow in race trim. Always got great strategy with Thomas Blam and all of the engineers there with K-Pax.
And the sister car is down in 14th, only ahead of Paul Holton's Crucial Motorsports McLaren, which has not set a time. We saw it stranded off to the side of the road earlier, and evidently it has not been able to continue.
This surprises me. Marciello, not at the sharp end just yet. Does he have another lap in him? Does he have enough pace in those tires to give? Been a monumental effort for this team. Only got their car that they're driving here in this session about 5:30 at the racetrack here this morning after major travel drama getting that chassis shipped here.
Afternoon sun shining between the levels of the grandstands here at Indianapolis. It's been a long day, but this is the moment everybody's been waiting for. The top 15 pole shootout.
And this is the time of day that the locals here call happy hour when it comes to speed at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. All the years searching for new track records here at IMS in the open wheel cars, doing something very similar just on the road course with GT machinery. Dries Van Thor right now relegated quite a ways down the order, currently 5th.
Just outside his best before that by a 1/10 of a second, so it does not move him up. Three big manufacturers at the top of the heat, led by Ferrari, from Audi, from Mercedes AMG.
Oh, Marciello pushing it for all he's worth, and he goes off track.
Yeah, he was pushing really big time there, but wasn't on a hot lap. Just missed it a little bit on the setup. That's a big surprise. Really thought he'd be a threat for the pole.
Nevertheless, a top 10 start for the ACA ASP team. Marciello takes the dive to the pit lane. His pole shootout is complete. Only a handful of cars still out on the racetrack. Fuoco, Van Thor, Marciello was. Now he's in the pits. Mikel Grenier for Sun Energy 1 and Marco Mappelli still turning laps. This is Fuoco. The team car is on provisional pole. He's back in 4th. Dries Van Thor, we talked about him in 5th. Look at this lap. He is on it, nearly on pace with his personal best in Sector 1.
Just don't think it's going to be enough because effectively he's about 4/10 off the pole, and there you can see it. Just gapping out. He'll probably bail on this, I would think. They get a predictive. Going to finish it off? No.
Yeah, he's out of it.
Yeah, you can tell. They got the predictive lap time coming up. He'll know he's going to be shy.
Well, how about this for a flex of the muscle for the prancing horse? The lineup that won in dramatic fashion overall at the Total Energies 24 Hours of Spa. They've had to wait for their next chance at Intercontinental GT Challenge competition, but as it stands, They would start from pole position. Don't think Marco Mappelli's got enough to challenge for that. Can he at least move up a position or two? He cannot. 14th is the best that the number 6 K-Pax car can muster. And there's the celebration. AF Corsa knows it's mission accomplished. They will start on pole.
It's an excellent run, very conservative running qualifying. The 51 car was down in 8th, but it's all about just making sure you're inside that top 15 comfortably. And then when it was go time, Pierre Guidi, what a lap he put together there.
Pole shootout results. This sets the grid for the top 15, 16th and back. That was set back in qualifying earlier today. The top 6 all from the pro category. Then you get to the pole sitter in silver. How about that performance from a North American team, Windward Racing?
Yeah, really strong. I mean, they've kind of been the leading light from the Mercedes-AMG camp here on North American soil this year, and they're showcasing it here once again on what is a global stage here with all of the other entries here this weekend.
A strong effort from Michael Grenier to secure pole in Pro-Am. That was a foregone conclusion. They were the only Pro-Am car to make the top 15, but they'll start top 10. Great effort by the Canadian driver.
Certainly is, and a shame for Paul Halton there. He had a very fast car. I thought he was going to be able to maybe break into that top 10 with some kind of issue early in the run.
1/10 of a second. That's all that separates first from fourth.
Exact one. 110.100.
Say the balance of performance is working all right with Ferrari, Audi, Mercedes, all of the top group. Got to go back a little way for the Mercedes, then Porsche, Lamborghini, Acura also represented in the top 15.
Well, I have to say, Audi, who came loaded for bear with 3 solid all-pro factory driver lineups, and you see those 3 cars right up there in the top 5. Audi leads the Manufacturers' Championship, and they're obviously dead set on winning it. And if they can come away from this weekend with a 44-point gap over whoever their nearest pursuer is, right now it's Ferrari, if they can get to 44 points margin, they will clinch before the season-ending Kyalami 9 hours in December.
And the reason is that margin is only 25 points for a win, but you count your 2 best scores. So your best scores would be a first and a second. That would be 43 points. So 44 would put you out of reach.
Beautiful shots of a majestic facility, over 100 years of history.
I've been thinking about this. I mean, look at that picture.
Yeah.
That instantly says Indianapolis Motor Speedway, just as you can instantly recognize Le Mans or Monza or Daytona. It's just like a snap of the fingers. You know exactly where you are.
And you could throw many of the IGTC venues into that equation as well, with Bathurst, of course, and
Sure.
Spa, Kyalami becoming that once again, and Suzuka when that formed a part of this championship too in the past. Very iconic in its own right. Cars making their way around and into the pit lane. We should be hearing from our pole sitters here shortly. But such history at this venue, we were alluding to that earlier. And to add an endurance sports car race, that is, it seems like that's the one thing that's been missing since the calendar has been expanded from one event every year in May. This seems like it's found a nice home.
And you know that Roger Penske loves sports car racing, so he's up for the event, and certainly isn't disappointing this year with that massive entry we're seeing.
Well, that was a dramatic run to the pole, and it will be the prancing horse leading the field to the green. Alessandro Pierguidi and AF Corsa secure the pole for the 2nd annual Indianapolis 8-hour presented by AWS. We hope you join us for full flag-to-flag coverage coming up tomorrow here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.